Tell me more, said Pliable, about the place to which we're going.
There are crowns of glory to be given us, said Christian, and garments shining like the sun. And he who owns that place will wipe away all tears from our eyes. Oh, come then, my good companion, let us hurry, said Pliable. I can't go any faster, said Christian. I've got this heavy burden. As they were talking together, they had drawn near to a miry slough, which was called the Slough of Despond. It was a place where many travellers before them had been drowned. And, not looking where they were going, they both suddenly fell into the bog. Here they wallowed, grievously bedaubed with filth and scum. Nor did the weight of Christian's burden help him. Indeed, he was sinking fast. Pliable, being unburdened, managed in the end to scramble back, but he was very angry.
Is this the happiness you promised me?
He asked.
If we have such trouble at the start, what may we expect at the finish?
And he ran off home for a hot bath, leaving Christian to struggle on his own. He had quite given himself up for lost when he heard someone shouting to him from the further side. His name was Help. He told him there were stepping stones just below the surface of the mud, and he directed him to them. You see, that's the hazard of this place, he said. It so spews out its filth that at the changes of the weather, these steps are hardly seen. So Help gave him his hand and drew him out and set him upon firm ground again. And Christian continued on his way towards the wicket gate. Although he didn't know it, more trouble awaited him. For a certain Mr. Worldly Wiseman was the next to meet him. A very inquisitive and self-important gentleman who dwelt in the town of Carnal Policy, hard by where Christian lived.
You don't mind my asking, he said, have you a wife and children?
Why, yes, replied Christian, but I'm so laden with this burden that I can't take pleasure in them anymore.
Who counselled you to start on this journey?
A stranger called Evangelist.
Ah, I thought so. There's no one more dangerous. He's always misleading travellers. I'm older than you. Let me give you some advice, my good fellow. In yonder village, there dwells a gentleman whose name is Legality. A very judicious man, a man of very good name. He has skill to help men off with their burdens. He has, to my knowledge, cured several who were going out of their wits because of them. Moreover, there are houses standing empty in the village at reasonable rents. The food is cheap and good, and you can send for your wife and children, and all live happily together.
Christian was, I fear, all too ready to listen to this Mr. Worldly Wiseman, who now proceeded most courteously to direct him away from his right road.
Do you see yonder hill?
Yes, very well.
By that hill you must go. And the first house you come to is Mr. Legality's.
Christian shouldn't have listened to him, for what he had failed to tell him was that the hill ahead was a fearsome mountain. It towered above him, as if about to crush him. Worse than that, there were flashes of fire coming out of it. And Christian, because of his burden, might easily have fallen, and thus early on his journey have been burnt to death, wherefore he did sweat and quake for fear. At that moment, who should appear but Evangelist, with a severe and dreadful countenance. "Aren't you the man I found weeping outside the city of destruction?"
"Yes, dear sir, I am the man," said Christian, blushing for shame.
"And didn't I direct you to the little wicket gate?"
"Yes, dear sir."
"How then is it that you've so quickly turned aside?"
When Christian had told his story, Evangelist said,
"You have rejected the word of God for the advice of Mr. Worldly Wiseman. But Mr. Legality cannot free you of your burden. Mr. Legality is a cheat." As he spoke, there was a great clap of thunder, and Christian called himself 1,000 fools for listening to Mr. Worldly Wiseman. He turned back in haste, and went like one who all the while was treading on forbidden ground. He couldn't wait to regain the road he had abandoned. But would he ever reach it? He wasn't at all sure. For narrow is the gate, it says in his book, and few are they who find it. Next time, we shall tell of Christian's strange visit to the interpreter's house, and learn whether or not he discovers a way of ridding himself of his burden.